chosen one. Listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not a rumor, not an exaggeration, and not a story meant to entertain. This is a divine pattern that repeats itself throughout history. The shock that spread through the town, the silence that followed, the disgust in people's hearts when the truth was revealed. This was not caused by a stranger, an enemy, or someone from the outside. It was your own blood, your own sibling, and Allah allowed it to surface, not to shame you, but to separate truth from deception once and for all. When betrayal comes from family, it cuts deeper than any blade, but it also unlocks a level of strength, clarity, and divine protection that only Allah's chosen ones are trusted to carry. If you've ever wondered why the pain had to come this way, stay with me because these lessons will explain everything. Chosen one, understand this sacred reality with clarity and depth. Allah never exposes betrayal at the moment it is committed, nor at the moment you are weakest, confused, or emotionally dependent. He exposes it only when your heart has been fortified by faith, when your reliance has shifted from people to Him alone, and when your destiny requires separation from deception to move forward. If Allah had revealed the truth earlier, it might have broken you, distracted you, or caused you to react from pain instead of wisdom. But Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise, and He never reveals what you are not prepared to carry. Every delay was protection, every silence was preparation, and every unanswered question was Allah strengthening your inner core without you even realizing it. By the time the betrayal surfaced, you were no longer the same person. You had endured hardship, learned patience, developed discernment, and built a private relationship with Allah that no human approval could shake. That is why when the truth came out, it shocked the town but did not destroy you. It exposed them but elevated you. It caused disgust in hearts, but peace in your soul. This is how Allah defends His chosen ones. He lets falsehood hang itself by its own actions while keeping your hands clean, your tongue restrained, and your honor preserved. The exposure was not punishment. It was divine timing, a final unveiling that marked your transition from vulnerability to authority, from dependence to divine alignment, proving that Allah does not just see betrayal. He controls when it is revealed, how it is revealed, and who is strong enough to survive it. Chosen one, this is one of the hardest truths Allah teaches, His most sincere servants. The deepest wounds are not delivered by enemies, but by those whose blood runs closest to yours, because trials that come through family are designed to test not your strength, but your sincerity, patience, and reliance upon Allah alone. When betrayal comes from a sibling, it shakes the foundations of trust, safety, and belonging, forcing you to confront a painful reality that lineage does not guarantee loyalty, and closeness does not equal purity of intention. Allah allows this test not to harden your heart, but to cleanse it of emotional dependence on people, so your attachment is redirected entirely toward Him. The pain you felt was not random. It was a refinement process, stripping away false security so that your faith could stand independently, unshaken by human approval or rejection. This is why the test feels unbearable, because it targets the most sensitive part of the soul, but Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, and He chose you for this trial because He knew your heart could endure it without losing its iman. Through this betrayal, Allah taught you discernment, emotional maturity, and spiritual independence, proving that sometimes the closest blood carries the greatest test, not to destroy the chosen one, but to purify them, elevate them, and prepare them to walk their divine path without illusion. Chosen one, recognize the precision of Allah's justice and mercy in this moment, because when your private pain became a public revelation, it was not meant to humiliate you, it was meant to establish truth, without you ever needing to defend yourself. Allah allowed the town to witness the reality so that false narratives would collapse on their own, teaching everyone that righteousness does not need loud explanations and innocence does not require self-promotion. You were spared the burden of proving your truth because Allah Himself took that responsibility, transforming your silent endurance into undeniable evidence. The shock and disgust people felt was not stirred by gossip, but by clarity. Clarity that exposed deception, corrected assumptions, and restored balance. This is how Allah honors His chosen ones. He makes their suffering meaningful beyond their own lives, turning it into guidance for others, a warning for the unjust, and a reminder that betrayal carries consequences even when hidden behind familiarity. Your pain became a lesson written in public consciousness, not to reopen your wounds, but to seal them with dignity, proving that when Allah elevates His chosen servant, He allows the world to learn from their trial while preserving their honor and increasing their rank. Chosen one, grasp this truth deeply, because it explains a pain most people never survive with faith intact. When betrayal comes from family, it is often the last and most severe purification before Allah releases a divine breakthrough that would have been impossible had those emotional ties remained intact. Family betrayal is not accidental, it is surgical. Allah allows it at the precise moment when your soul is ready to be freed from invisible chains you did not even know were limiting you. When the ones who shared your blood, your childhood, your private struggles, and your vulnerabilities turn against you, it feels like the ground beneath your identity collapses, because family represents safety, belonging, and unconditional support. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows that certain elevations require the removal of familiar anchors, because where He is taking you, loyalty to truth must come before loyalty to blood. This is why the betrayal feels unbearable, isolating, and humiliating, not because Allah intends to crush you, but because He is emptying your heart of reliance on creation so that it may be filled completely with reliance on Him. Right before a divine breakthrough, Allah dismantles false security, inherited expectations, emotional dependencies, and silent compromises that were never aligned with your destiny. The betrayal from your sibling was not powerful enough to stop your rise, but it was perfectly timed to force you into full tawakkul, because partial trust in Allah cannot carry a servant into full authority. History confirms this pattern again and again. Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, was betrayed by his own brothers and thrown into the depths of humiliation before Allah elevated him to a position of authority that saved nations. Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was opposed by his own father before Allah made him the father of monotheism. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was rejected, mocked, and boycotted by his own tribe before Allah spread His message across the world. This is not coincidence, it is divine sequencing. Allah allows family betrayal to serve as a spiritual severing, marking the end of emotional childhood and the beginning of spiritual adulthood. Through this pain, Allah sharpens your discernment, purifies your intentions, humbles your ego, and strengthens your spine, teaching you to stand alone with Him even when everything familiar collapses. The silence you endured, the restraint you showed, and the dignity you preserved during this betrayal were not unnoticed. They were recorded, rewarded, and multiplied. While the town may focus on shock, scandal, and disgust, the unseen world witnesses purification, promotion, and preparation for leadership. Allah allowed this betrayal because your next level required solitude before authority, loss before provision, and heartbreak before expansion. This was not the breaking of your life. It was the breaking of the final barrier between you and your breakthrough. Once family betrayal occurs, and you remain patient, faithful, and restrained, Allah opens doors that cannot be closed by people, restores your honor in ways no human could orchestrate, and replaces what was lost with connections, provision, and purpose protected by His decree. From that moment forward, nothing familiar can limit you again, because the final test has been passed, and divine breakthrough is no longer approaching, it has already begun. Chosen one, sit with this truth slowly and let it sink deeply into your heart, because only those who have truly experienced betrayal and the unveiling of hidden agendas can comprehend its full weight. When Allah decreed that the reality of deception, betrayal, and hidden motives would be revealed, He did not allow it to occur in chaos, confusion, or public humiliation that could tarnish your dignity. Instead, He orchestrated the timing and the unfolding with divine precision, preserving your honor while exposing the falsehood of others in the most perfect, unassailable way. This is not by chance, nor is it merely circumstance. It is one of the greatest forms of protection that Allah grants to His chosen servants, a mercy reserved only for those whom He has destined for elevation, trust, and unseen victories. You were not forced to plead for understanding, to justify yourself endlessly, or to fight to be believed, because Allah does not burden His sincere servants with the weight of human opinion when He Himself has already secured their truth. Rather, He guarded your tongue, steadied your heart, and placed tranquility and clarity within you while the world witnessed events unfold. The contrast between your composure and their inconsistency became undeniable as patterns of behavior, contradictions in words, and slips in action revealed intentions that could no longer remain hidden. This is how Allah exposes betrayal in the most flawless way, by allowing the wrongdoer to dismantle their own facade, while the chosen one remains steadfast, dignified, and protected, untouched by anger, reaction, or desperation. Even when shock, disgust, and murmurs spread through the town, they clung not to your name, but to the deception that had been revealed, for Allah does not allow falsehood to cling to sincerity for long. Your silence and restraint puzzled observers. At first, some expected retaliation, others expected excuses, but that very restraint became the most powerful proof of divine support, because only a heart anchored in Allah can remain dignified while being wronged so profoundly. In every moment, Allah preserved your reputation, your integrity, and your inner purity, preventing bitterness, vengefulness, and spiritual corrosion from taking root in your heart, a mercy that many who survive betrayal fail to receive. Instead, He elevated you through your patience, strengthened you through silent endurance, and taught you that true honor is not declared loudly, fought for aggressively, or proven through confrontation. It is calm, unshaken, measured, and rooted in trust that Allah sees every thought, intention, and action. As the truth of their betrayal unfolded layer by layer, intention by intention, your own nature became illuminated for all to witness, principled, unwavering, consistent, sincere, and spiritually grounded, untouched by falsehood and untainted by bitterness. Allah allowed this revelation not to glorify you in the eyes of people, but to establish justice in a way that leaves no stain, no regret, no need for explanation, and no loophole for lies to survive. Even after all was revealed and the dust settled, your name remained untarnished, your path remained open, and your future remained protected, because Allah never exposes betrayal by sacrificing the dignity of His chosen servant. He orchestrates truth in a way that purifies the heart, humbles the arrogant, elevates the sincere, and teaches the world that when Allah preserves someone's honor, no lie, no matter how carefully plotted, deeply hidden, or closely connected to you, can ever succeed against it. The entire process, though painful to endure, became a lesson in divine timing, in patience, in trust, and in reliance upon Allah alone, demonstrating that true strength lies not in retaliation or self-justification, but in silent resilience, composure, and the unwavering belief that Allah sees everything, knows everything, and will reward the steadfast in ways beyond human comprehension. Chosen one, this is the mercy, the wisdom, and the glory of being protected by Allah. The world may witness shock, deception, and betrayal, but your honor remains intact, your soul remains pure, and your legacy is being prepared in the heavens, untouched by the failures, lies, or schemes of those around you. And this preservation, this divine safeguarding of dignity, is a mark that sets you apart from the ordinary, a sign that you are truly among Allah's chosen, whose trials are transformed into elevation, whose patience becomes unmatched strength, and whose faith becomes an unshakable shield against every attempt to harm, disgrace, or diminish you. Chosen one, understand this profound truth with the depth it deserves, because it is one of the hardest lessons the heart can fully comprehend. Allah does not measure loyalty, sincerity, or trust by shared lineage, by the blood that flows through familiar veins, or by the closeness of childhood memories. He measures it by intention, by faith, by the alignment of hearts toward what is good, pure, and pleasing to Him. Family, in the human sense, can provide comfort, familiarity, and companionship, but it does not guarantee protection from betrayal, deceit, or hidden agendas, because the human heart is fallible and often enslaved to desires, envy, or weakness. You may have trusted, loved, and invested your heart in those who share your name, your history, and your memories, only to discover that the bond you assumed was unbreakable was, in reality, conditional, fragile, and vulnerable to the very tests that Allah designed to purify your soul. This is where divine wisdom surpasses human understanding. When betrayal comes from blood, it is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to sever attachments that are not spiritually aligned with your purpose, so that your heart becomes capable of receiving the connections Allah has prepared for you. Connections that are stronger, more sincere, and untainted by self-interest. True brotherhood, the kind that endures, protects, and supports without seeking reward or recognition, is assigned by Allah, not by heritage. It is given to those whose hearts resonate with yours in sincerity, whose intentions are pure, whose loyalty is tested and proven, and whose presence is a manifestation of Allah's mercy in your life. When you face betrayal from those you call family, you may feel the sting of shock, the ache of isolation, and the weight of disappointment. But these experiences are not punishments. They are divine pruning, a necessary removal of attachments that would otherwise block your spiritual elevation. Through these trials, Allah teaches you discernment, to distinguish between relationships built on convenience, familiarity, or obligation, and those built on intention, truth, and alignment with His will. You learn that closeness of blood does not equate to closeness of faith, and that shared history does not ensure shared integrity. In the moments of heartbreak, when the familiar becomes the source of your pain, Allah begins to place new souls in your path, souls who are aligned, tested, and chosen to walk beside you in ways that support your mission, uplift your spirit, and safeguard your heart. These companions may come unexpectedly, from places you never imagined, carrying no ties of heritage, yet possessing loyalty deeper than blood, understanding sharper than familiarity, and love that is selfless and enduring because it is rooted in Allah's wisdom. This lesson is both painful and liberating. Painful because it forces you to confront the impermanence of human loyalty, the fragility of inherited trust, and the reality that even the closest blood can fail. Liberating because it opens your heart to the reality that divine brotherhood transcends human expectation, placing around you those who are instruments of mercy, support, and guidance. Chosen one, reflect on the lives of the prophets. Yusuf, peace be upon him, was betrayed by his own brothers, yet Allah provided him with allies and companions who elevated him far beyond the reach of familial treachery. Musa, peace be upon him, faced rejection from his own people, yet was assigned faithful hearts to aid his mission. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, endured betrayal and opposition from his own tribe, yet Allah surrounded him with sincere companions whose loyalty was tested and proven beyond doubt. This is the law of divine brotherhood. It is not given lightly, it is not guaranteed by blood, and it is not limited by expectation. It is a gift, assigned with perfect wisdom, for the one whose heart is ready, whose faith is firm, and whose purpose aligns with Allah's plan. When you understand this fully, the sting of familial betrayal transforms into clarity, peace, and resilience. You learn to let go of disappointment, to release anger, and to redirect your heart toward those assigned by Allah, trusting that these bonds are more enduring, more sincere, and far more protective than any inherited connection. Your journey becomes one of spiritual alignment, where every companion, every helper, every brother and sister who remains in your life is there not by accident, but by divine decree. And in this alignment, you discover a deeper sense of family, one that is chosen, nurtured, and sustained by Allah Himself, one that cannot be shaken by betrayal, cannot be tainted by envy, and cannot be undermined by human weakness. This is the liberation of the chosen one, to walk forward with a heart purified by trials, relationships refined by divine selection, and a soul anchored in the truth that Allah is the ultimate provider of brotherhood, protection, and unwavering support, far beyond the limitations of blood, memory, or expectation. When the town sees betrayal and shock, you remain grounded, because you know that the true allies are already in place, assigned by Allah's wisdom, and that every broken tie has cleared space for relationships that will endure eternally, serving your purpose, elevating your rank, and reinforcing your mission. True brotherhood, the kind that strengthens, shields, and sustains, is never inherited, it is divinely appointed. And for the chosen one, it becomes one of the greatest blessings hidden within the trials, that the world mistakenly perceives as loss, pain, or injustice. Chosen one, listen carefully, because this is the pinnacle lesson that crowns all trials and elevates the soul beyond worldly understanding. Silent endurance, the ability to remain steadfast, patient, and dignified in the face of betrayal, deception, and injustice, is one of the highest marks of Allah's chosen servants. When the world expects you to react, to speak, to expose, or to defend yourself, choosing silence does not signify weakness. It signifies complete reliance on Allah, absolute trust in His timing, and the maturity to understand that divine justice surpasses human intervention. This endurance is not passive. It is an active, conscious, and spiritually fortified stance. It is the choice to let Allah defend your honor, to allow the truth to unfold naturally, and to rise above the chaos that ensnares those who act impulsively or out of anger. The one who endures silently is building a fortress around the soul, shielding it from bitterness, resentment, and the spiritual corrosion that often follows betrayal. While others scramble to react and prove themselves, the chosen one remains grounded in faith, knowing that every word spoken in haste can be used against them. Every emotion displayed in weakness can cloud judgment, and every attempt to seek justice on human terms can undermine the divine plan. Silent endurance refines the heart, strengthens patience, and amplifies spiritual insight, because it forces the soul to navigate suffering with reliance upon Allah alone, without leaning on people, circumstances, or superficial support. When your sibling betrayed you, when the town was shocked and disgusted, and when the weight of exposure threatened to break your spirit, it was silent endurance that protected your rank, preserved your dignity, and elevated your status before the unseen witnesses of the heavens. Those who practice silent endurance are often misunderstood, overlooked, or even criticized, because the world cannot recognize the strength it takes to remain calm and restrained in the face of provocation. But Allah, the all-knowing, the all-wise, sees the depth of the patience, the intensity of the inner struggle, and the sincerity of the restraint, and He records it in ways that multiply reward and prepare the chosen one for greater stations. Every moment of restraint is a silent act of worship. Every heartbeat of patience is a testimony of trust, and every unspoken word is a shield that protects the heart from corruption and the soul from despair. Silent endurance teaches you to rise above human perception, to detach from the need for validation, and to anchor yourself fully in divine support, because the one who relies on Allah is never truly alone. Through this, the chosen one becomes untouchable by slander, unshakable by deception, and unassailable by betrayal, because their strength is no longer measured by worldly means, but by spiritual alignment and unwavering faith. This endurance also transforms pain into power, hurt into insight, and betrayal into wisdom, because it allows the servant to observe the world without being consumed by it, to act from principle rather than emotion, and to navigate life with clarity rather than confusion. The town may have been shocked by the revelation of betrayal, and the world may have whispered in disgust at the deception uncovered, but silent endurance allowed you to rise above all of it, demonstrating that true strength is not in retaliation, argument, or exposure, but in steadfast faith, composure, and reliance upon Allah alone. Chosen one, understand that this is the crown of your trials. Those who endure silently are the ones Allah elevates, multiplies, and protects in ways that are invisible to the eye, but profound in reality. Your patience becomes a mirror that reflects divine justice. Your calm becomes a shield that deflects deceit, and your dignity becomes a testimony to the world that Allah is with His chosen servants in every trial, every betrayal, and every moment of hardship. The world may measure strength by noise, power, or visible control, but Allah measures it by the heart, the soul, and the ability to endure without complaint, without bitterness, and without turning away from trust in Him. Silent endurance is therefore not only a mark of protection, it is a mark of distinction, a sign that you belong to the ranks of those whose hearts are refined, whose faith is deep, and whose station in this life and the next is being prepared beyond what anyone can see. The one who masters silent endurance walks through betrayal unbroken, faces deception unshaken, and rises from trials unscathed, because Allah has appointed them a path that bypasses ordinary human struggle, elevates them above worldly chaos, and secures their legacy in both this world and the next. Every act of restraint, every moment of unspoken pain, and every second of patience is being recorded and multiplied, creating a spiritual armor that not only protects but propels you toward your divine purpose. The chosen one learns that victory is not in public confrontation, justice is not in human retaliation, and recognition is not in worldly approval, but in trust, faith, and unwavering patience that allows Allah to orchestrate outcomes far beyond the imagination of the human mind. Silent endurance is therefore the defining characteristic of Allah's chosen ones. It transforms trials into triumphs, betrayal into elevation, and heartbreak into a divine platform for unseen honor and everlasting reward, proving that those who endure quietly, with hearts anchored in Allah, are invincible in ways the world cannot perceive, and unmatched in stations the heavens applaud. Chosen one, reflect on every lesson you have heard today, the unveiling of betrayal, the shock of revelation, the sting of deception, and the elevation that follows silence and patience. Allah allowed this trial not to break you, not to diminish you, but to refine you, to separate truth from illusion, and to prepare you for a destiny that no human eye can fully comprehend. The town may be shocked, disgusted, or even confused by what they witnessed, but you know the deeper reality. Every hardship was a test, every betrayal a lesson, and every moment of endurance a step closer to your divine purpose. Your honor was preserved, your heart was strengthened, and your path was cleared by Allah Himself. Never forget this when Allah defends His chosen servant. He does so with perfection, timing, and wisdom that surpasses all human understanding. Walk forward with faith unshaken, with patience unwavering, and with your eyes fixed on the one who sees what no one else can. Your trials have become your testimony, your silence has become your power, and your faith has become your shield. The world may misunderstand, people may question, and hearts may waver, but you, chosen one, remain untouchable, elevated, and aligned with a destiny written by Allah long before you were born. Remember always, betrayal was never the end. It was the beginning of your rise, the unveiling of your true allies, and the proof that you are, and will always remain, among Allah's chosen ones. Stand firm, move forward, and let your faith, patience, and dignity illuminate the path that only you are destined to walk.